When it comes to something like The Boys or Game of Thrones, these shows that have great build-up, I feel like the final season should be an easy layup, but here we are. And we are talking spoilers, so if you have not watched the final episode yet for some reason, come back later. The Boys is a show that I used to absolutely love. I remember years ago, I thought I was a genius because when I was in college, I had a lot of script writing classes, and I remember for an assignment, I was like, what if I write a TV show or a movie based on how superheroes are in real life? I thought I was a genius, but little did I know it was a comic book series called The Boys that was already made, and then I discovered the TV show on Amazon, and just like everyone else, I was hooked in the first 5 minutes once A-Train ran through Huey's girlfriend. From that moment, I was hooked. The Boys had a lot of high moments, definitely some low moments. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I hated that musical scene with Kamiko and Frenchie. But I was excited for the final season because I actually thought they could do it. I actually thought they could pull it off. And I'm disappointed. It was a lot of people on the internet that were extremely pissed after every single episode. Now for me, I wanted to wait until the end. I wanted to see how they would wrap this up because maybe they could do it. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. So now that the season is over, we are done with this legendary show, The Boys. They completely fell flat. And it's not even necessarily that I thought this was a bad season because I enjoyed a lot of these episodes. I thought this season was entertaining. The problem is, they have to wrap up all this stuff. And it felt like the writers, when they were writing this season, they were writing like, oh, we have more time. You don't. This is the final season. This is over. And it just feels like they could have done so much more. And the stuff that we did get, they could have done it so much better. But it wasn't all bad, even though I do have a lot of stuff that I don't like, but I did like some things. So let's talk about the stuff that I did like. Anthony Starr as Homelander. It is not your fault, bro. Even with all the bad that he's done over the years, he made a little girl jump off the roof. That plane scene is still extremely hard to watch. He is by far my most favorite character on this TV show, and honestly, he might be one of my favorite TV characters of all time. Depending on how seriously you take this show, this might be a bit controversial, but I actually love the Deep. I mean, we're going to talk more about his character in a second, but I love his character, even though he is an absolute piece of shit. I think he's hilarious, and for the most part, I liked what happened to him during this season. Oh Father is a character that really caught me by surprise because originally I thought I was going to hate his character, but I ended up liking him. It was parts of his character that I really enjoyed because usually I'm pretty good at predicting what's going to happen, but when it comes to Oh Father, I couldn't really read him because it was parts of me that was like, is he going to team up with Ashley? Is he going to betray Homelander? Or is he going to be loyal? And unfortunately, he was loyal. Mother's Milk is another one of my favorite characters. He's black, but I love that we got to learn a little bit more about his character and we finally got to learn how he got his name. I haven't read the comic books, but I feel like in there he got his name a completely different way. But in the TV show, he got his nickname as a kid because he was being teased for helping sick animals or something like that, and the kids were bullying him and they called him Mother's Milk. I hate kids. Looking at my notes, honestly, that's really all I liked about the season. And again, it's not even that I thought these episodes were bad, but it's just, yo, you gotta wrap all this stuff up. And I feel like they did, but not in a great way. And so here, we're just gonna rapid fire a bunch of stuff that I don't like. Black Noir. That shit pissed me off so bad. I was like, it's no way that's how he actually dies. I was like, it's no way they actually just did that. I thought he was gonna come back later. I thought he was gonna be the one that killed the Deep. I was like, they gave him all this backstory. He can talk now. He's trying to act. They doing all this stuff. It's no way they kill him just like that. And they did. Just threw him away. And speaking of the Deep, I thought his death was lame as hell. As soon as that Samuel L. Jackson shark came out and was like, yo, you get in the ocean, it's over for you. We gonna jump you. Everyone should have known that's how he was going to die. Even then, it just felt flat. Like the problem with this show, with a lot of the deaths that happen, it's like, maybe it's just me, but I didn't feel anything. It was just always like, oh, okay. And the main thing about his death that pissed me off was that it was just completely stupid how we got from point A to point B. And the only way that it could be explained is by lazy and poor writing. So the boys, they're all fighting in the White House. Starlight flies into the Deep and they fly out the building. Why in the world would Starlight take the Deep closer to the ocean? Like, imagine you're fighting Aquaman in the middle of land and you pick him up and you place him closer to the water. And at this point in the show, based on what we saw, Starlight does not know that the deep can't go in the water. She does not know that he has beef with a bunch of different sea creatures. She doesn't know any of that. She could have took this man anywhere in DC. She could have took this man down to U Street to get some brunch, but she took him closer to the ocean. That doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, I feel bad for Starlight and the actress Erin, I forgot her last name, but her character for the most part was completely useless. And you could tell that the writers over the last few seasons, they had no idea what to do with her character. And speaking of writers, the writers had no idea what to do with the Gen V cast, and that really pissed me off. I just wanted Marie to do something. Like, I'm not even saying she needed to kill Homelander. Of course, that's to be left to Ryan and or Butcher, but just have her do something. And I know that Gen V just got canceled, but these last 2 seasons pretty much led to nothing. And these Gen V characters, they got turned into Harriet Tubman, destined to free the slaves. It's like they forced all of these crossovers and they didn't have any set plan on how exactly it was going to end. Somebody on the internet did the math and they said that the Gen V characters in season 5, they only had like 4 or 5 minutes of total screen time in 8 episodes. Unacceptable. Sister Sage was such a fucking idiot. You want me to believe the smartest woman in the world couldn't see a possibility of Soldier Boy giving Homelander the V1. People on the internet were complaining about her overall plan of pretty much wanting to be the only person left in the world, but to me, in a weird way, that does make sense. You're so smart, you just want to be left alone by yourself. To me, I don't have an issue with that, but overall, she was an idiot, and she lost her powers and she became actually stupid, and then she just rides off into the sunset and goes on vacation to Orlando. No sort of consequences for all the actions that she had over the years, all the people that she got killed. She just goes off to Orlando, to Harry Potter world. She loses her powers, she's stupid, and she goes on vacation. That's the best they could come up with. And the boys at the end at the White House, they pretty much just walk right in there. And you could say, oh, well, they had a plan set up in case they came in. Old Father's grand master plan for if the boys entered the White House or were trying to go through the tunnels was, we're going to send a bunch of random dudes and shoot guns at them. We're not going to gather any of the soups that we've gathered behind the scenes. We're not going to take any of our psychics that we have. We're not going to send any of them over there. We're just going to send a bunch of dudes with guns. And speaking of Old Father, I didn't like his death. I didn't feel anything. It's just like with Black Noir. It's like you see it happen and it seems very random. And then it's just like, oh, okay, let's move on. And then Huey randomly knows that if he shoots this smoke detector or whatever, that a bunch of smoke is going to come out and then they're going to be able to get away. Whatever. And then at the very end, Huey gets Starlight pregnant and they name their child Robin after Huey's dead ex-lover. Absolutely not. Hell no. I could not imagine my girl looking me in my eyes and telling me, yeah, my ex that I used to love, I loved him so much. His name was Michael. He died in a car accident tragically. Oh, we're having a son. Can we name our child Michael in honor of my dead lover? F him. Kamiko, a character that I used to love. She was one of my favorite characters on this show, was annoying as hell this season. At the end of season 4 or whatever, when she finally spoke and she said no, that was a big, hard-hitting moment. We were like, oh snap, she can talk now. I wonder what she's gonna be talking about. Every single conversation she had just sounded like word vomit. Every other word was whatever. Extremely annoying. And she ends up just randomly getting Soldier Boy's power to be able to shoot a blast and take away somebody else's powers. I don't know if that happened in the comics or not, but that's really cheap to me. This girl was getting blasted with radiation for, I don't remember what the timeline was, if it was hours, days, or I think it was like 2 weeks or something like that. She was getting blasted with radiation constantly. They would wait like 2 minutes, they would open the door, and then they would hug her and be like, are you okay? Like nothing happened. They should not be able to walk in that area if you played a game like Fallout. Everything about her character this season just felt stupid and rushed, and it was really disappointing. And then Frenchie, I did not care about his character's death at all. It was supposed to be this real sad moment. Oh no, Frenchie died. Like, I rolled my eyes so hard at that scene in the White House when Kimiko couldn't muster up the anger to blast Homelander, and then everything stopped, and then Frenchie came on screen and he talked to her, gave her some kind words, and then she gathered the strength to blast Homelander. That shit pissed me off. And then I also learned some things about that actor in real life, some things about his past, which I'm not gonna talk about. Do your Googles. I'm good. Soulja Boy's character was wasted and he felt out of place this entire season. And like a bunch of other people have said online, his character did truly feel like his only purpose was to be a walking ad for their upcoming show, Vault Rising. Soulja Boy's ending was so disappointing, extremely underwhelming, and just like with Old Father or Black Noir, Soulja Boy gets put inside a chamber and that's it. Like, what do you mean he's not in the last episode? Homelander, again, my favorite character. I love Homelander. But just like with everyone else, his death was very underwhelming to me. And I'm not even mad that he died. But it's just, I feel like with how they promoted this upcoming season, or this final season, how they built stuff up over the last few seasons, he should have had, I'm not even saying scorched earth, but he should have had at least a real badass moment where he snapped and he showed his power. But he went out like a little bitch. It's like he kills Firecracker, he kills A-Train, but I wish he had a moment where he like truly snaps. Like, y'all remember a few seasons ago where it was that episode where he envisioned himself killing all those people at the press conference? I wish he kind of had something like that where he just had a moment where he snapped, where he felt like he was almost at the end of his life, but all we get is him doing a speech on TV, the boys crash the party, and then we get the final fight scene. When it comes to him whining at the end and him offering to give oral onto Butcher, I saw some people online complaining about that, but for me, I don't really see an issue with that type of conclusion, because over the seasons, Homelander has been shown that he has all these anger issues. He's extremely sensitive because deep down inside, even though he's this powerful suit, deep down inside, he's very small. And I feel like that moment showed it. Like, deep down inside, he's such a small person that he's willing to go to that just to save himself. I didn't have an issue with it. I just wish that the moments leading up to that was better. When it comes to Butcher, again, I'm underwhelmed. And it's not even that I have an issue with how his story ended, because he lost everything. Like, he lost Ryan, who's probably the only person still alive on this earth that he truly loved. He lost his dog, R.I.P. Terror. It just felt like everything was rushed. Like, I'm not a writer, I don't know anything, I'm just a guy on the internet, but I feel like it would have been better if maybe this whole Homelander thing happened in episode 7 and they truly fleshed that out more, and then Butcher was kind of the main villain of episode 8 and he's having this inner conflict on if he should try to kill all the Supes. I feel like that would have been better, but I don't know. I'm just a guy. It's just the entire last episode, it felt like the writers knew they had to tie up all these loose ends, so they just rushed through everything. But I was really hoping that they were able to pull this off. I came into this season with such high hopes. I was like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. And I feel like we don't need to be extreme with everything. Just because I'm underwhelmed with this ending does not mean that the rest of this show, the greatness that they've given us throughout the years, does not mean we need to erase that and act like this ending ruined the entire show. Because that episode of A-Train and that in that room with that Make-A-Wish kid is still one of the funniest things that I've ever seen in my life. This is a great show with a terrible ending. And it's okay. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. We talk about a bunch of different things on this channel. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What are some things that you would have changed? Again, I haven't read the comics, but if you've read the comics, how different is that ending from the TV show ending? Which one do you prefer? And how do you feel about Gen V? Because again, I'm really pissed off about it because I love those characters, or at least Marie. She's fine as hell. But also Maria, to me, was just a cool character with cool powers. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Love you guys. As always, remember to tell somebody that you love them. Until next time, see you in the next life.